Have you ever noticed that some of the most intelligent people you know tend to keep to themselves while others thrive in social gatherings? These individuals often choose solitude, preferring their own thoughts over small talk and social obligations. Why is that? Is it arrogance, social awkwardness, or is there something deeper at play, something rooted in the very nature of intelligence itself? One of the most profound thinkers to explore this phenomenon was Arthur Schopenhauer, a German philosopher known for his deeply pessimistic yet brutally honest worldview. Schopenhauer believed that the more a person understands about the world, the less they feel inclined to participate in its trivialities. To him, intelligence wasn't a social advantage, it was a curse that led to alienation. To understand why intelligent individuals often feel alienated from social life, we need to explore Arthur Schopenhauer's broader philosophy. He was a radical pessimist convinced that life was fundamentally filled with suffering and that most people distracted themselves from this reality through meaningless pleasures and social conventions. Schopenhauer believed that true wisdom comes not from engaging with the world, but from withdrawing from it. He saw solitude as the natural refuge of the highly intelligent who, unlike the majority, could not ignore the painful truths of existence. For him, the more a person understands, the more they detach from the trivialities that keep most people entertained. One of Schopenhauer's most provocative ideas is that intelligence isolates individuals from the majority. While most people seek pleasure in gossip, entertainment, and superficial relationships, intelligent individuals crave deeper meaning, something that is rarely found in ordinary social interactions. He argued that the average person lives in a world of illusions, distractions, and desires, while the intelligent mind sees beyond them. Because of this, highly intelligent individuals often struggle to relate to the common pursuits of society. They feel lonely not because they dislike people, but because they rarely find minds that resonate with their depth of thought. Schopenhauer captured this idea in one of his most famous passages: "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom, for it is only when he is alone that he is really free." For Schopenhauer, solitude is not just a preference, it is a necessity for great minds. In a world where most people are absorbed in trivialities, the intelligent individual finds freedom in being alone, where they are unshackled from the noise and distractions of society. But what exactly makes social life so unappealing to highly intelligent individuals? Why do they feel drained by interaction rather than energized by it? To answer that, we need to look at the fundamental differences in how intelligence shapes perception and experience. To the average person, life is something to be enjoyed, filled with pleasures, social interactions, and distractions. But for highly intelligent individuals, life often appears in a much different light. With greater intelligence comes greater awareness, and with greater awareness comes the realization of life's absurdity, suffering, and impermanence. Schopenhauer believed that intelligent people cannot help but see through the illusions that keep most people content. They recognize that much of human existence is driven by irrational desires, mindless repetition, and a constant struggle for fleeting pleasures. This deep understanding makes it difficult to engage with the world in a light-hearted way. Whereas many find comfort in entertainment, social trends, or chasing status, the intelligent person sees these pursuits as distractions from deeper existential concerns. This awareness, rather than bringing peace, often leads to frustration, cynicism, or even despair. One of the biggest social challenges for highly intelligent individuals is engaging in everyday conversation. Small talk, gossip, and trivial topics, the very things that form the foundation of social bonding, feel like a chore rather than an enjoyable activity. Schopenhauer noted that most people are concerned with the superficial aspects of life, discussing trivial matters like social status, entertainment, or daily routines. The intelligent mind, however, craves discussions on philosophy, psychology, science, or deep existential issues. Because these topics are too heavy or complex for most people, intelligent individuals often feel like they have to filter their thoughts just to fit in. This creates a sense of loneliness even in a crowd. A highly intelligent person might be physically present in social settings but mentally detached, watching from the outside rather than truly engaging. They might even prefer solitude simply because pretending to be interested in shallow discussions feels exhausting. Another burden of intelligence is the inability to simply accept things as they are. While most people live instinctively, reacting, following societal norms, and enjoying the present, the intelligent mind is constantly analyzing, questioning, and deconstructing reality. Why do people behave the way they do? What is the true meaning behind social rituals? Is life itself just an endless cycle of suffering and illusion? This relentless questioning doesn't switch off even in social interactions. Instead of enjoying casual conversations, the intelligent individual is often mentally dissecting the underlying motives, contradictions, or absurdities in what people say and do. Over time, this habit of deep thinking leads to mental exhaustion. Socializing, which should be a source of connection and joy, instead becomes a draining activity, an endless analysis of human nature and societal constructs. This burden of deep thinking naturally leads to another struggle, the difficulty in forming genuine connections. If intelligent individuals see the world differently and struggle with superficial interactions, how does this affect their relationships with others? For highly intelligent individuals, social interactions often feel unnatural, not because they dislike people, but because they see through the illusions that hold social life together. Schopenhauer argued that much of human interaction is built on pretense. People say what they're expected to say, follow social scripts, and engage in rituals that reinforce belonging rather than genuine connection. To the intelligent mind, these interactions often feel hollow or artificial. Why do people compliment each other insincerely? Why do social groups reward conformity over independent thought? Why is small talk a requirement rather than a choice? Most people don't question these things because they are simply part of the rules of the game. But an intelligent person cannot help but notice the performance and often feels uncomfortable participating in it. This creates a disconnect between them and the majority, reinforcing their tendency toward solitude. One of the deepest forms of loneliness is not physical isolation, but intellectual and emotional isolation, when a person feels they have thoughts, interests, or perspectives that no one around them can truly relate to. Highly intelligent people often gravitate toward complex, abstract, or unconventional interests, whether it's philosophy, science, literature, or deep psychological inquiry. However, finding others who share the same intellectual curiosity can be difficult. If they bring up a philosophical question, most people may dismiss it as overthinking. If they express a deep existential concern, they might be met with indifference or discomfort. If they speak passionately about a complex topic, the conversation might quickly shift back to something trivial. Over time, this repeated failure to connect on a meaningful level can make intelligent individuals feel like outsiders, as if they exist in a different mental world than those around them. For highly intelligent individuals, group interactions can be especially difficult. Social groups function on shared values, common interests, and unspoken rules that prioritize harmony over truth. However, intelligent people often struggle with this dynamic for several reasons. They prioritize truth over social harmony. While most people avoid uncomfortable truths to keep the peace, intelligent individuals often feel compelled to point out contradictions, challenge assumptions, or introduce deeper discussions. This can make them seem contrarian or too serious in social settings. They struggle with surface-level bonding, and many social interactions revolve around shared entertainment, gossip, or discussing day-to-day life. Since highly intelligent people prefer depth, they may feel bored or out of place in group conversations. They often lack the instinct for social cues because their focus is on ideas rather than social dynamics. They might unintentionally violate unspoken rules, being too blunt, too analytical, or too distant in situations where others expect warmth and conformity. As a result, they may either withdraw from social life altogether or develop a persona that allows them to fit in, but at the cost of suppressing their true thoughts and interests. This struggle to relate to others naturally leads to an important question: if social life feels so alienating, how do intelligent individuals find meaning? Schopenhauer believed that true fulfillment does not come from society but from solitude, self-reflection, and intellectual pursuits. For Arthur Schopenhauer, life was not about social validation, popularity, or meaningless pleasures. It was about wisdom, self-reflection, and the pursuit of truth. He believed that those who are truly intelligent are not preoccupied with fitting in but rather with understanding the deeper nature of reality. Schopenhauer argued that society, by its very nature, tends to reward conformity over individuality, distraction over introspection, and entertainment over enlightenment. Because of this, highly intelligent individuals find little fulfillment in engaging with the shallow aspects of social life. Instead, they direct their time and energy toward pursuits that cultivate knowledge, creativity, and personal growth. To Schopenhauer, the highest goal of an intelligent person is not to seek approval from others, but to cultivate a rich inner world. This explains why solitude, rather than socialization, is often where they find the greatest fulfillment. While many people fear loneliness, intelligent individuals often embrace solitude as a necessary condition for deep thought and personal development. In solitude, they are free from the distractions of social expectations and can fully immerse themselves in intellectual and creative pursuits. Schopenhauer himself spent much of his life in solitude, writing and defining his philosophical works. He saw solitude as a privilege, a state in which the mind is free to explore profound questions without the interference of superficial concerns, self-reflection, the ability to deeply analyze one's own thoughts, beliefs, and experiences. Creativity, freedom from external influences allows for original thinking and artistic creation. Intellectual mastery, with uninterrupted focus, individuals can pursue knowledge and refine their understanding of the world. This is why many of history's greatest minds, from Newton to Einstein, from Kafka to Da Vinci, often preferred solitude. It was in isolation that they could do their most meaningful work, unburdened by the trivialities of social life. While intelligent individuals may avoid large superficial social settings, this does not mean they reject human connection altogether. Instead, they seek quality over quantity when it comes to relationships. Rather than engaging in shallow group interactions, they often prefer one-on-one conversations that allow for depth, nuance, and intellectual engagement. Meaningful friendships with like-minded individuals who share their interests and values, discussions about philosophy, psychology, or existential topics rather than gossip or small talk. Schopenhauer himself was highly critical of empty social interactions, believing that most conversations serve only to pass time rather than exchange meaningful ideas. He saw true companionship as something rare, reserved only for those who could meet on the same intellectual and emotional wavelength. Because of this, highly intelligent individuals often have few but deeply meaningful relationships. They do not seek to be surrounded by many but rather to connect with a select few who truly understand them. Ultimately, Schopenhauer believed that solitude was not a weakness but a sign of inner strength. In a world that constantly pulls people toward distractions and social expectations, choosing to walk one's own path requires both courage and conviction. But what does this mean for the modern world? How do these ideas apply in an age of social media, constant connectivity, and endless social pressure? While Schopenhauer championed solitude as the path to wisdom and self-discovery, he was also a man who struggled deeply with loneliness and bitterness. His philosophy, though insightful, often carried a pessimistic edge, one that revealed the dangers of excessive isolation. Solitude may grant freedom and intellectual growth, but it also comes with its own set of risks. If taken too far, it can lead to misanthropy, depression, and a disconnection from the world. So while intelligent individuals may find peace in solitude, they must also be careful not to let it turn into complete isolation. Schopenhauer's own struggles with loneliness and bitterness. Schopenhauer himself was a deeply lonely man. Though he was brilliant and widely respected, he had few close relationships and often expressed contempt for others. He lived much of his life in isolation, convinced that most people were foolish, driven by blind desires, and incapable of deep thought. This isolation had consequences. He grew increasingly bitter and cynical, seeing human interaction as pointless. He struggled with a sense of alienation, never truly feeling understood. His writing, while profound, often reflected frustration and pessimism, as if he had given up on humanity altogether. In many ways, Schopenhauer became a cautionary tale, proof that while solitude can be a gift, complete isolation can turn into a prison. The risk of excessive isolation, misanthropy, and depression. When solitude becomes excessive, it can morph into misanthropy, a deep distrust or hatred of society. Highly intelligent individuals who feel alienated for too long may begin to see others not just as different but as inferior or foolish. This mindset can lead to a loss of empathy, making it difficult to connect even with those who might understand. A growing sense of superiority, which creates further isolation, a cycle of bitterness where every failed social interaction reinforces the idea that people are not worth engaging with. Beyond misanthropy, isolation can also lead to depression. Without meaningful social interaction, even the most intelligent minds can fall into feelings of emptiness, despair, and existential dread. Humans, regardless of their intelligence, are social creatures by nature, and complete withdrawal can have serious psychological consequences. Finding a balance: how intelligent individuals can engage socially without losing themselves. The key, then, is balance. Intelligent individuals do not need to immerse themselves in social life the way most people do, but they also should not reject it entirely. The goal is to find meaningful ways to engage with the world while preserving one's intellectual and emotional integrity. Some ways to do this include seeking out like-minded individuals. Rather than trying to fit into mainstream social settings, intelligent people can find niche communities where deep discussions and meaningful relationships are possible. Cultivating a few strong relationships, even one or two deep intellectual friendships, can prevent isolation from turning into loneliness. Engaging selectively, instead of avoiding all social situations, intelligent individuals can choose settings that align with their interests, such as philosophical discussions, book clubs, or one-on-one meetups. Practicing patience with others. Not every conversation needs to be profound. Sometimes light-hearted interactions can still provide a sense of connection without feeling exhausting. Schopenhauer may have embraced solitude, but even he would likely agree that a life of complete isolation is not a fulfilling one. The challenge for intelligent individuals is not to reject social life entirely, but to engage with it on their own terms, choosing depth over quantity, authenticity over performance, and solitude over forced socialization. So what does this all mean? Is solitude a curse or a gift? Does intelligence doom one to loneliness, or does it simply demand a different way of interacting with the world? Schopenhauer saw intelligence as both a gift and a curse, a tool for understanding the world, but also a source of alienation. The more one thinks deeply, the harder it becomes to engage in ordinary social life. Yet solitude is a paradox. It nurtures wisdom, but too much of it can lead to loneliness. While intelligent individuals may prefer isolation, they still need meaningful connection. The key is not total withdrawal but selective engagement, choosing depth over quantity, solitude over superficiality, and authenticity over conformity. So is the loneliness of intelligence inevitable, or is there a way to bridge the gap without losing oneself? That's the real question. If you found this exploration of Schopenhauer's ideas about intelligence and solitude thought-provoking, then I invite you to dig deeper with us. The relationship between intelligence, social life, and finding true fulfillment is a journey we're all navigating in our own way. Have you experienced this tension between deep thinking and social connection in your own life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective on finding that delicate balance between meaningful solitude and genuine connection. If this video resonated with you, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming philosophical explorations. We'll be diving into more profound thinkers and examining how their ideas can help us navigate our modern world with greater wisdom and authenticity. For those interested in exploring Schopenhauer's philosophy further, check out the recommended readings in the description. And if you have suggestions for other philosophers or topics you'd like us to cover, let us know in the comments. Until next time, remember that true wisdom lies not in complete isolation nor in mindless socialization, but in finding your own path, one that honors both your intellect and your humanity.